It's the 1970s, and Dallas is a prospering city. Its three tallest buildings have each held the title of the tallest building west of the Mississippi. Here's a scale model of them. But with the dawn of a new decade, Dallas needed a new skyscraper to reflect its sustained growth. The first international building, opening in 1974, did just that. And yes, the first international was a 70s-style skyscraper. Breaking away from the subdued colors and cluttered exteriors of its rivals, the tower stood out amongst the skyline as a refined glass curtain, a perfect box of uninterrupted blue reflective glass. What made this skyscraper farther stand out in Dallas was its towering height of 710 feet. The next tallest building was 82 feet shorter. And although the U.S. energy crisis and subsequent economic malaise would trouble First International's first few years, the city continued to experience job and employment growth. But with growth came more construction. First came Reunion Tower. Opening in 1978, the tower is not an office complex, nor is it taller than the First International, but it is certainly more iconic. Developers also built new office complexes that increasingly approached the height of the First International while maintaining a more distinct character. And so here's the problem of the First International's design. Rectangular prisms have long-defined architecture, but perhaps the First International is too purely geometric. One can imagine the difficulties of identifying the building as a symbol of Dallas. But of course, the tallest building in any city is bound to hold an aura of significance. However, the death knell of the First International's relevance would ring, and it rang in 1985. Standing a whole 211 feet taller, the Bank of America Plaza building soared above the First International, and suddenly the First International fell into second place among Dallas skyscrapers. However, the Plaza building was the first in a burst of skyscrapers. Soon after its completion came Fountain Place, which topped off at just 10 feet taller, but nonetheless relegated the First International to third place. Then, on the horizon, the under-construction Comerica Bank Tower and Dallas Art Tower were poised to downgrade First International's status even farther. And it's not just that these buildings were taller. Yes, in the great competition to be Dallas's most interesting glass geometric shape, the rectangular prism faced deep competition. That is to say, First International had lost its bold originality. And so, could it be that First International would become just another Dallas area office building? No. Recognizing its waning relevance, First International entered the cocoon of renovation in 1986. What entered was a detailless glass box. And while what emerged in 1991 was not a butterfly, the First International was fundamentally different. First, it was renamed the Renaissance Tower. Secondly, the exterior was reglazed with a more dynamic design redefining the tower's glass curtain. And most importantly, besides a revamped interior free of asbestos, the tower was crowned with a 176-foot spire. Since this spire was more than an aesthetic addition, the Renaissance Tower reclaimed the title of the second tallest building in Dallas. Well, perhaps not the kingly glory of first place. Being the prince of the skyline certainly seemed better than fifth. Concurrently with this renovation, a massive decrease in oil prices rocked Dallas and sent Texas into a banking crisis. This disruption put a halt to farther skyscraper developments. In 1996, possibly in recognition of the renovation's success, Renaissance Tower received its most notable tenant to date. However, even though this tenant was a multi-billion-dollar company with over 6,000 locations. To speak its name would be an act of foreshadowing. This super tenant was Blockbuster Video. For a time, Blockbuster was a crucial anchor of the Renaissance Tower, as it rented out around 13% of the building, but the comfort of Blockbuster did not last. In 2011, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy and vacated the building, inaugurating an unkind decade for the Renaissance Tower. Thus, while Dallas continued to grow, that growth brought new, more competitive constructions and provided an impetus for several buildings to undergo renovation. Due to the seductive allure of these new offices, several tenants felt compelled to move out of the Renaissance Tower, even if they relocated just up the street. The pandemic did not help the tower's growing vacancies, and in 2021, the tower's problems came to a head when its owners fell into foreclosure. However, this story does not end in tragedy. New owners have taken over the tower and are committed to learning from the building's past as they embark on what is likely to be the building's biggest renovation since the 1990s.